When Mrs. Takamori asked me to write this forward to her husband, Admiral Takamori's war journals, I initially refused. I was still heartbroken over the loss of someone I considered to be a brother and a great friend, but eventually I would be convinced to write it. Admiral Takamori Hiroshi, or Hiro as his friends knew him, was perhaps the most brilliant naval designer in history, and perhaps the best that ever will be. His pioneering designs in Japan led to the Imperial Japanese Navy becoming the premier naval power in the Pacific, more than an equal to her British and American peers. When I first met Hiro, it was at Oxford in the late 1890s. I was one of the American exchange students under the pioneering program. Being the only Japanese there, and probably the only one outside of London, he got a lot of attention. When Hiro was looking for a dorm, I offered to share mine. Being an outsider, an American myself, in a foreign land, I figured we could find some common cause. I would be proven right, and once Alex and James became a part of our friends' circle, we ended up bonding as a group of somewhat reputable brothers, despite our antics in college. When we all left to join our respective services, I was the black sheep, being assigned to the American consulate in Tokyo, which I didn't mind. I often met Hiro for a cup of tea at a garden or walked through Tokyo to visit shrines as he spoke about Japanese history. As time went on, I went back and forth from active service in the U.S. Navy to my advisor role in Japan. The four of us still found time when we could, maybe once every couple of years, to all gather and talk. As we got older and went higher in rank, those conversations became almost yearly, and in the 30s, 40s, and 50s, almost monthly as we had to help coordinate naval matters between our nations. And we just found it easier to do it in Tokyo or Hong Kong than at a table at the Admiralty in London or the Naval Yard in Norfolk. Hiro was always a brilliant tactician and a stoic leader. In fact, the only time I remember anyone chastising him was when Alex sent him a letter after the sinking of a battleship he had designed many years ago and briefly commanded. He was so distraught about the battle and the loss of such an important ship and many experienced sailors, he was missing the larger picture, that Japan was going to win that war. Over time, those years became memories, and our glory days that we told to our kids and grandkids. And as they got older, we would take them to go hang out with Uncle Hiro for a month, and if they, grandkids and kids, asked nicely, he'd let them to our battleship. It was good times. As the new decade of the 60s turned into the 70s, we all noticed Hiro's health slowly decline, but he was still healthy considering his age. Personally, I think all the stress and late nights were catching up to him. However, Hiro disagreed and stated that he feared he would die within the next few years. After a particularly bad bout with a cold, he was recovering quite fine, but wanted to make sure he saw all of us one last time. We agreed to stay for a month, but he informed us to be ready to extend it if the time came. Every night we sat down for dinner at his house, often accompanied by naval officers, cadets, historians, journalists, and other guests almost every night, either by invitation or by request. One night we were all there, mainly family and friends, a few naval officers and some cadets that were invited. Everyone was having a wonderful evening, and Hiro told me he was going to close his eyes for a bit and try to relax. He was sitting underneath his favorite sakura tree in his garden, and had found a comfortable chair and propped his feet up. I nodded and smiled, and Alex, James, and I bid good night as we were going to leave, but he asked us to stay and enjoy the meal and desserts, and we obliged. After about an hour, I noticed something was off about Hiro and went to check on him, only to find that sometime in that hour he had passed. A slight smile still on his face as he was surrounded by people he cared about and loved, listening to them happily chatting away and enjoying life. I figured that he wanted to make sure he wouldn't be dying in a hospital room and we'd be bawling over his condition. He wanted to go out on his own terms. To say the night wasn't rough would be an understatement. Alex's wife was having to comfort Mrs. Takamori as James called the palace to inform the Emperor that Admiral Takamori was dead. And the Emperor showed up around 2 o'clock in the morning, dressed in his uniform, and sat down in the house. There was silence for a moment, and then he spoke to all of us briefly. Often individually or all together, he asked us our memories of the admiral who had brought Japan such glory. And he asked me how he had passed and how I had known him. Once he was satisfied with the answers, he informed us that he, not the Admiralty, not the press, would make the announcement that Admiral Takamori was dead to the people of Japan. The state funeral was a lavish affair. Emperors, kings, princes, presidents, prime ministers, officers, cadets, historians, friends, family, and the common people were all in attendance. The Kaiser tearfully presented a German naval ensign embroidered with Takamori's name and personal emblem on it to his wife. The President of the United States, a naval veteran himself, spoke about meeting Admiral Takamori on several occasions at the funeral. The Queen of Britain even presented gifts to his family, notably a piece of HMS Victory encased in resin. Many eulogies in the press and in person were given, and all flags hung at half-mast in the Japanese Empire and a broader Commonwealth. I should mention, as the last entry in his journal is about his retirement, for world affairs, I suppose it is worth some commentary. The USSR fell in the late 1950s, and the Russian Empire became a federalist system under the new Tsar, who instituted a sweeping set of reforms. China, led by the Republican movement supported by Britain, America, and Japan, is now in the mid-stages of rapid industrialization and modernization. France and Italy are now whole again, no longer ruled by revanchist nationalists or communists. Poland gained full independence within the German Commonwealth, and as a thank you to the Japanese sailors and German mariners who helped free them, they kept the battleship that they had ordered from the Japanese shipyards to serve as a memorial, an active flagship to the German monarchists and their Japanese allies, as a memorial to be a part of their navy, to remember their sacrifice. As for me, I decided to take on the task of compiling Admiral Takamori's journals, which he asked me to do in his will, and write my commentary on them, along with James and Alexander's help to provide more details where required, or give additional information that Hiro did not know at the time. With the completion of the task and it being ready to be published, I went to Miss Takamori, who, as stated in the beginning of this foreword, asked me to write this very passage. In the next pages, you'll find some brief excerpts from interviews from Alexander and James, along with many leaders who knew him. Then, starting in Chapter 1, you will read the words of the greatest admiral in Japanese history, Admiral Takamori Hiroshi. I pray that you will find his journey and his life exceptional as I have, as his brother, as his friend, and as a man who on a mission. Godspeed. Commander William Billy Thompson, retired, U.S. Navy. Hey everyone, 30.6 here. I want to make a quick apology. On the first draft of this video that was published, there was a brief outage in the microphone from about 3 minutes to 6 minutes, as pointed out by a commenter. Unfortunately, I did not write down your name, and I do want to apologize. This is the fixed version that I'm now recording at 10:50 at night to make sure that these are the highest quality I can produce. It's been a wild ride, this campaign. 94 videos in a row straight, 94 videos in a row daily posting, which is maddening to think about, that for 90-something days I have posted a video for this series every day. As for series going forward, the series that I've been hinting about for months, I know I've talked about it in the post, I am postponing it to November. That gives me more time to work on it and do the research and filming, because my goal is to have about 6 episodes filmed by that time, so I can release them one after the other. As for the British campaign, I am taking a slight break. I will be doing some recording sessions just to get the series kick-started, to make sure that I don't have to do a bunch of recording starting in October. But the plan is that in October is when the British campaign is going to start. Most likely late September, early October. I haven't quite set a date yet. The trailer that it will be released will have the official date. I do want to take this extra time, to thank you all for your support. We've pretty much tripled our subscriber count. I would almost say quadrupled since the series came out. It's been a journey. We cracked 10,000 views with this series, and this series is actually going to have 100 videos by the time it's done, because the last episode is, of course, not the epilogue but the campaign review, and that is going to be published very soon. I just have to sit down and do the Excel spreadsheet, which is going to take some time. Unfortunately, I don't have the time this week. If I do have the time, it will be posted most likely at noon, which is when I post my episodes. I want to thank you all for your support, your views, your likes, your subscriptions, your comments. I do read all your comments. I try to respond to them in a timely manner. It means a lot to me how much support you guys have shown for the channel, for me, and for the series. It's a great honor to be able to produce this content for you all. It's crazy to think that a year ago I was posting the American series, and it'll be just about a year, I will have posted the first episode of the American Fleet series, which kind of basically revived this channel, as the only thing I had posted on here was some old content and recording sessions with me and my buddy. He's in War Thunder, which I may start going back to if I get a PC this year, hopefully. But yeah, you guys are the reason that I'm doing all this, that I'm successful, that I'm able to produce this content and do these videos, and it is a great pleasure that I'm able to do this. So of course, thank you all for your support. It means the world to me. And this has been Ultimate Admiral Dreadnoughts Season 2, The Rising Sun Campaign. Thank you all so much for watching.